What's up, plant lovers? Devin here, and I wanted to propagate one of my favorite indoor plants. That is the Dracaena. It's a very popular house plant because it doesn't matter if it has bright light or low-key light, a lot of water, a little water. Most people have pretty good success with these plants. However, there's a few reasons why I think it's important to know how to propagate these plants, because I often see Dracaenas, or sometimes known as cane plants, growing super tall, and they start to get a little bit top heavy and you don't know what to do with it. So how do you fix that problem? Or if you have something like this one, which has 3 plants growing in here, they're all kind of the same height. If you want to have a different layered, staggered look in your planter, by propagating, not only are you going to create new plants that you can either keep and decorate your home or give away, but you're also going to be creating a stylish new look in that planter by having different layers. Okay, so when it comes to propagating these plants, my favorite method is in water. So you need to have a couple glasses of water. You need to have either a sharp knife or preferably some sharp shears. I don't have any shears with me right now, so I'll be using this sharp knife that is cleaned with soap and water prior to using it. We don't want any of our old, avocado toast remains on our knife before we cut it. We want it to be clean. Okay, so let's get in close and take a look at exactly how we are going to propagate this plant. So when it comes to the Dracaena, there's really 2 main ways you can do it. You have your tip cutting, which is basically the uppermost part that contains the leaves, and then you have your stem cuttings. What I'm going to be doing, I will be doing both. So if you notice, you see all these different white lines that are on the stem of the plant. These are old leaf nodes. You can see right here, as this plant grows and this leaf eventually will fall off, there will be a new white line right there. And basically the important thing to note in these white lines is that these are kind of like storehouses for hormones and for enzymes. So when we take our cuttings, we want to do about like a 4 to 6 inch piece, a 4 to 6 inch chunk. So, and then each of the cuttings, each of those 4 to 6 inch cuttings is going to have about 3 or maybe 4 of these leaf nodes, of these rings in the actual cutting. Now over here I have a different kind of Dracaena, and you can see it's a little bit thicker. I don't have the proper utensils to do a cutting of this or a video of this today, but you can see these rings are the same. So the process of propagating this plant is exactly the same as what I'm going to do, but you need to have bigger shears, like a big branch cutter, in order to do this. This is an awesome candidate for propagating because, as you can see, they get really tall, and sometimes they'll fall over and people don't know what to do with it. So keep this video in mind. Okay, so now let's do the actual cutting. What I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be taking a cutting right about here. Now I always cut just above one of these white rings, because what's going to happen with this portion is still alive. It's going to grow and it's going to create new growth from underneath that ring. So it's going to shoot up new foliage like that. So I take my knife and let's cut. Okay, so you can see it's super important. You want to try to get that cut as clean as possible. If I had nice shears, I would have made it even cleaner, because a cleaner cut is going to allow that to heal faster, and the faster it heals means the faster new growth will occur. Okay, so now I have this beautiful new cutting. You can do 2 things. If you want, you can just make 1 new cutting and you can stick this right into some water just like this. If I were to do that, I would want to have a taller glass because this is definitely going to fall over. But I want to make 2 cuttings. So I'm going to have the top, and then I'm going to cut again right here. So let's cut this one in half. Okay, so this has got to be around 12 inches. Cutting it about half away, I'll cut right here, And then I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these lines beneath the cut. And these lines are where either roots will come out of in the water or where new foliage will start to form while it is being propagated. Okay, so let's cut this. Okay, so now I have these two pieces. This one, super easy. You can tell this is the top and this is the bottom, easy peasy. Very important to note. This one, you need to make sure you remember which is the top and which is the bottom, because if you put it in the water upside down, it's not going to work. You're going to have a propagation fail, which is fine. It happens. This is part of the learning process. But to do it correctly, you want to have the bottom down and the top up. So now with this cutting, this is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 inches or so. Take a nice glass of water with, I have 2 or 3 inches of water in here. Stick it in, okay? Stick it in here, and what we're going to do is we're going to let this sit about 6 to 8 weeks. I'm going to change this water out every, I would say, whenever it starts to look a bit cloudy. That's probably going to be about once or twice a week. And over the next 6 to 8 weeks, 2 things will happen. You will either see roots forming in the water, or you'll start to see green growth, buds kind of shooting out of the side of these trunks. Once you start to see some new growth, then that's when you get your pot of soil and you pot it up and you just created your new plant. It's really as easy as that. Okay, so now we have this one done, and now we're going to sit and wait, and now we have this one. Okay, so this one is still a little bit top heavy, so I'm going to put a little bit more water in here. And I don't know if you've watched any of my previous videos, but when it comes to propagating, we always remember that when you're propagating, you want to have as little stress on your propagated plant material as possible. Little stress in this case means I want to remove some of the foliage. Removing some of the foliage is going to make it a little bit easier for this plant to create new roots, and that is exactly what we want to do. Okay? Let's do one more. Okay, so now I've removed enough foliage. It looks nice and healthy and fresh. I'm going to stick it in this glass of water. I'm leaning it up against this pot for the moment until I find a better vessel to keep it in. But essentially, it's the same process. I'm going to let it sit in this water, and over the next 6 to 8 weeks, I will wait. I will change the water out whenever it starts to look a little bit kind of, not super fresh. And what's going to happen is new roots will start to form. When those roots form, get your fresh pot of soil, and basically what you're going to do is you're going to plant it, I would say 3 to 4 inches underneath that soil, and then you will have your fresh plant. Give it away to your friend, add it to a different room, increase your own indoor jungle. That's what I like to do and why I love to propagate. And the last thing that we want to do is we want to make sure and give some water to the plant that we just cut, because this plant is undergoing a lot of stress right now. So by giving it that extra water right now, you're going to kind of mollify it, you're going to kind of soften it and help it to regenerate and acclimate to its new kind of living conditions. And really the propagating our cane plant is as easy as that. It's one of my favorite plants. It's a great plant for all gardeners, whether you're an expert or a beginner. We will all have success, and we'll all have success propagating it. So give it a try with your plant and increase your own plants. Bring more plant life to your life. Catch you later.